When I was younger, my grandmother would go to the chicken coop and get eggs for breakfast. Those were good times. With that being said, I don't like to keep you guys waiting. Let me crank this bus up and let's get this ride going. What it do, peeps? I'm the Beat Chef. Welcome to the ride. Hit that like, that share, that subscribe button. Hit that bell to get notified when I drop my next video. Hit that hype button. To my new subscribers, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy the show. I hope you get something from the content. To my day ones, thank you for helping me build this platform and continue this WNBA conversation. On the bus today are the fans, but also I picked up every owner. And we had a great breakfast. Fresh eggs, them yolks, the richest yolks in the world come from those fresh eggs. So let us begin. First, the owners owe every, and I mean every, fan an apology. See, the main reason why we have such difficulties with this league is because the ownership, they were asleep. Imagine you have a company or a farm with some little miniature farms here and there. You got 12 of them. And they don't really do much, so you don't really pay attention to everything. That was 2022, 23, heading into 2024. But see, when 2024 came, there was a different crop of employees that came on the farm and started to make waves and bring attention. The players, the owners really didn't see this until it was too late. But they had a foreman, Kathy Engelbert, who, she saw it. But she marketed the league in the wrong way. She wanted to do the Larry Bird, black versus white, bad business model. And while things were happening to Caitlin Clark on the court, if you remember, in Caitlin Clark's first season, they only moved a few games. As they started to wake up, then you notice the shift. The games started getting moved to other places. So coming into 2025, now the owners are awake. And if you remember, the Phoenix Mercury moved every game that Caitlin Clark was going to play. They even promoted Caitlin Clark in their own promotions for her visits to Phoenix to capitalize. The Wings, same thing. Most teams moved to a bigger venue. That the owners had woke up at that time. We all know how they pulled Caitlin Clark out of harm's way and let the Sharks feast. But one thing you got to understand, the players, and the two things going forward that I want you to remember. Salary cap is one. Salary cap is the number one thing. And those three doors. See, a couple people said they wanted door number one to happen. See, door number one is going to happen regardless. Say in a perfect world, door number one happens. The players sign the deal. We get on down the road. The things that are behind door number two and door number three are still going to happen. And what I mean by that is simple. What many people don't focus on is that salary cap number. See, the owners want that salary cap, per the reports, to be about $5.5 million. In 2020, when they bargained the thing, we learned on the previous video, they got a 30% increase in the salary cap, which is the money that they spend at every farm. Now, this year, the proposal is a 254% increase to 5.5, which is phenomenal. The players want originally 12.5. They lowered their demands to 10.5. This is important. This is what you got to look for in the future. See, in the WNBA, you have a salary cap and you have a minimum cap. The minimum cap is 90% of the salary cap. So, for example, if the salary cap the players are proposing was 10 and a half, it would almost be $9.5 million that the teams would have to spend on each and every player. See, if the owners get their way, they get the 5.5, they can then weed out a few of the older players and bring in some new players, younger, cheaper talent, and have them on a roster. But if the players get the 10.5, just imagine you'll still have the same WNBA product that exists currently today with the physical play, the rough play, the sloppy play. Because then the players would then be able to, the older players would be able to grab more of the higher end wages, the $1 million contracts, and ride out into retirement. But that would also create a logjam with a bunch of older players, and you wouldn't be able to see a lot of younger players on the rosters because older players will be taking up the majority of the salary cap. So if the salary cap number is high that they settle on, the WNBA that you want will take longer to manifest itself. If the salary cap is lower, you'll have a few veterans on a team making $1,900,000, $800,000. And then you'll still have a nice balance of $500,000 players, $300,000 players on a roster. That's exactly what you want. The players understand the past is starting to catch up with them. They understand that the older players that don't produce are going to get phased out. So to thwart getting phased out, they want that salary cap number high so they can grab those spots and then force out younger players. So the salary cap is very important. Door number 2 is going to happen regardless. Just like in the ABL story that I told you. Imagine in the ABL, they got 600 women to come try out. And like I said, it was some as old as 40 years old. And that was for 50 to 150,000. Imagine in today's game with more women playing college basketball than ever. I think I did a video where it was like 16,000 women between Division 1, 2, and 3 playing basketball. Imagine if they opened up tryouts and at the low end you're making $250,000 to $300,000 coming out the gate. The tryouts would be massive. So, door number 2, whether the players strike or they get locked out, door number 2 is going to happen. Door number 2 is going to happen regardless if they went through door number 1. Because you got to think about it. 13 teams, 156 players. We know every player is not a top-notch producer. We know every player is not a star. So why would you pay premium money for a person that does not produce? You wouldn't. You would bank on the younger talent coming from that factory called the NCAA. So door number 2 is going to happen. There's going to be an influx of new talent. And once the money gets put out there, people are going to start coming for the jobs that the 156 that currently hold those jobs, they're going to want their jobs. Competition creates business. They don't have competition in this league. Imagine you have a team over here, say in San Francisco. San Francisco is a success story because they took many pieces from this factory, this farm, and this farm, and a few foreign farms to create their team. The ideal situation. And they did it for under $1.5 million. And they made the playoffs with parts from other teams. That was one business model, and it worked for 1 year. That's going to be the going business model for the people that were featured on the cover of this video. Those were the owners, the owner of the new Toronto Tempo team, Larry Tenenbaum, who also happens to be the owner of the Toronto Raptors. He's the one that brought the Toronto Raptors to Toronto. He's flanked by his president of his WNBA team, Teresa Rausch, and Mr. Emery, who is the uh, president of the Toronto Raptors. I use them for one example. They're a new farm. They're going to get young players and then fill out the roster with a few veterans. And they're going to have the same amount of success that the San Francisco Valkyrie, the Golden State Valkyries had. It's that simple. The ownership knows the end game. The players know the end game. The players are not fighting for the future. They're fighting for their survival. And just like when I was a kid, my grandmother would go out and get those eggs in the morning. There's always a dinner time. And I always ask my grandmother, how do you figure out which chicken to cook for dinner? And she would tell me simple, baby, the ones that don't produce and the old ones that are getting old and hard to deal with, I get rid of them and I put them in that fire. See, earth, wind, and fire. Earth, the players are going to get brought down to earth. Wind, the owners have allowed the players to do all the talking, to use all their wind. But the owners have the fire. They're going to ask, like my grandmother would ask, how do you want that chicken? Fried, baked, or grilled? And we loved fried chicken. So some of these players know that they're about to get that fire. They're about to get cooked, just like that chicken on my grandmother's farm. The owners have also laid a series of traps. See, we often watch the 2024 and 2025 season and we blame the refs. The refs were awful. No debate. But they also had to deal with some hands that were tough and hard to deal with. Paige Beckers said it out of her own mouth. Unrivaled is more physical than the WNBA. Little did Paige Beckers know that one statement was an indictment on the quality and the talent of the WNBA, because the physical play traveled to Unrivaled, because it's the players who hold the most blame, not the refs. But Kathy Engelbert, in a moment of an emotional state when Fee Collier lit into her, said one of the most diabolical traps you can set to a player. She invited them to come on a panel and join the rules committee. She said that in that press conference. And when I saw it, I was like, that's not what the players want. You don't want to sit with your employer and set the foundation for your destruction. But Kathy invited them to their destruction, and they have to take the seat. What's going to happen next is easy. See, accountability has lacked in the WNBA, but it's coming back because, see, now the owners are awake. Now the owners are going to try to make this a viable business come hell or high water. These players will not get in the way of these owners. These owners owe it to the fans because the fans have spoken. The fans have demanded the accountability. We're tired of the politics, the Natasha Clouds, the Rebecca Lobos, all of them, the Alyssa Thomases, all of them. Accountability will be done. So when you make more money, you get more responsibilities, more money, more problems. So imagine you're on the bargaining committee for the rules and they say, well, damn, a flagrant foul, you're not going to just get a $50 fine. You're going to get a $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 fine. Because see, now you're making better money. With that money comes more responsibility. Learn how to play. Flagrant twos, game checks. See, when the players start losing something, they get their acts together. Right now, they're not losing anything, so they don't know how to. They don't know how to act. They act according to how they feel. They want to look like a Penn basketball league. They proceed to play like they're in the pen. The league is listen to the fans. They've watched the product. They pulled the greatest star out of the league and let the league eat itself. And we all got to watch it. Even though a lot of us wanted Caitlin Clark to play, the league had bigger vision. Let them eat each other up because we're going to fry them later. They will get that fire. So that's one trap that Kathy set up. There are going to be new rules. The rules are going to be strict. The fines are going to be severe. And the attitudes and the play on the court will change. Not only that, when they get what they want on that salary cap, that will usher in a group of new players, fresh hens, not tainted by old WNBA guard, not tainted by the effects of ABL bitterness. The bitterness will be gone. That's what's going to happen with door number 2 and door number 3. But when door number 3 is the worst of all, door number 3, they go on strike, they go on lockout, they get part 2, they get door number 2. Door number 3, they're all free agents. That means they're all subcontractors looking for work. As they wait and try to battle it out, the plan that was unrivaled, the plan that they were going to use to thwart the WNBA, you'll see it in real time. It starts to falter. The Project B, non-existent, a myth. Those plans that they use, the Project B and the unrivaled, leave the landscape. Contracts pulled, TV contract gone. Players will start to cross that line and go take deals with the league because the league by then will already have replacements in place because replacements were going to happen regardless if they went through door number 1 anyway. So now you get true competition when somebody has something to lose. And that's why door number 3 has to happen because they have to have competition. Through door number 2, you invite the replacements. And you're going to get thousands of women this time. Thousands of young girls, women that played 3 years ago, players that were banished from the league because they didn't want to go with a lifestyle agenda that a player on their team was trying to force on them. Those players are going to get opportunities to come back and get one of those jobs. Because in 2026, it will be 180 jobs available. Right now, it was 156 to 165 women vying for 156 spots, and a lot of them got them through injuries and showed what they can do. The league noticed. The Aaron McDonalds, the Shea Pettys, they noticed those women and their contributions. Also, what's going to happen with accountability? You will no longer see a WNBA player berating the company in which they are trying to work for publicly. You better keep that noise to a minimum and keep it on the low. Publicly, you're going to get dinged. They're going to hit those pockets. No other company would allow an employee to go on social media and go on rants and tirades bashing a company in which you're trying to get employment from. Those days are over. Accountability is coming back. These owners are swinging a bat this time. They're going to make this a watchable product. Door number 1, door number 2, and door number 3 will all be used. There is no escape. Older players, hens that can't lay eggs, hens that can't produce, they're going to get cut. They're going to get cooked. They're going to get that fire. Earth, Wind, and Fire had a song, one of their best songs. It was called After the Love Is Gone. The love for some of these hard-head players is now gone. They will get E.W.F. It's on the menu. And the end of that group's name is Fire. That's all the owners are going to do is put chicken in grease, turn the fire up, and they're going to fry chicken. Players are going to get fried. Players that don't produce eggs, gone. If my grandma can't go out and get no eggs, just like them owners can't get no return on their investment, you're gone. Fire. Leave your comments below. Like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, peace.